This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Hello. Please listen to this important message. Your student loan has been flagged for forgiveness. We are able to remove your payments today.
What does that mean even? Like if I'm not paying anything,
solicitor,
they're going to remove nothing from nothing. Anyway, 3rd of October, 2020. My name is Corey Winfield, and this is a 217 Recovery Podcast. Marney, listening, what's up?
Hey.
So, you don't want to talk about the negative stuff, so we're not going to do that. So we're going to keep it positive by talking about, I met a guy today, 27 years sobriety.
Nice.
I know. Well, I mean, that's what he had. Yeah. Tell you. Decided to drink again.
Whoa.
And one thing, though, one positive thing is he's doing what he needs to do to begin again. He's not beating himself up too much, and he didn't blame COVID. He blamed that he stopped going to meetings. And he's not really savvy with the computer. So as most people would say, well, yeah, but you got Zoom meetings. He's one of the people that didn't help him. And when COVID hit, he stopped going to meetings. And, you know, it would have been easy for him just to blame, well, COVID came and, but he didn't. He just said, yeah, I stopped going to meetings. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And, 27 years is a long time. Mm-hmm. So that's how it sneaks up on you. And it gets in your brain. After 27 years, it seems like, I don't know, it seems like it might be easier to justify, well, I've had 27 years, I mean, I can go get a little bit. I mean, I'm at home all by myself, can't go nowhere anyway, and I don't know, that's scary, and that's a good reminder for me, and it should be for everybody that it doesn't matter, and I'm sure you've heard it before, and if you haven't, well, welcome, but, it doesn't matter how much time you have, it's just you're that one drink away from being right there at the bottom again, and, how far are you going to let it go out of control before you take back the reins, and, he did, so, good for him, but, yeah, that would suck to lose that many years, and I pray that doesn't happen, for me. But it's something that's real, and that's what they say. It doesn't matter how many years you got.
For sure, just goes to show you that you're just that that close. But yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. That I've been asked that question before. Like, did the treatment centers get busier? Because of COVID or what have you, or are they emptier because of COVID? And everyone's trying to point a finger at, the relationship of addicts and alcoholics with their struggles. And it's a valid question how it's, affected each person. And it is a huge concern. I remember I was listening to one of our earlier podcasts in like March, right when it kind of like first was being talked about on the media and so on. Mm-hmm. And you were like, COVID's not real. You were like, it's not. And you went on this big, listen to it. I think I keep encouraging people to, because you will not admit the fact that. I'm
sure I've made some good points. And they're probably still valid.
It's pretty entertaining though, because you were bound and determined that it was just not a real thing. And nobody actually has COVID. It's a made up thing.
I still haven't seen the bodies. I'm just saying,
so
I haven't seen the tests.
Anyway, that being said, is we actually, started talking about the effect that it would have on the recovery community, just in terms of whether real or not, whether your conspiracy theories were.
Somebody's making money off it.
Okay, don't get it going again, please. We're just what I'm trying to do is bring around what you were saying is that individuals that have developed a routine in their lifestyle, kind of their own program, if you will, of what they do to maintain, their sobriety, and to stay clean, is X, Y, and Z. And, and when you take one of those pieces out of the equation, then it throws things off. And that can mean detrimental things. I mean, that can just not just mean one drink. That could mean, the whole bag of tricks. And next thing you know, you're off to the races and you don't know what's next. But, yeah, so good for him for kind of figuring it all out and catching it when he did. And I guess that's all you can really ask for people to do is kind of just be aware and be prepared for anything like that and to make changes. We all had to make adjustments due to this. Sorry, your lights are going off like a rave, like it's a strobe light or something.
I know. I just fixed it.
Okay. Do you even know what we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And how when you're used to what you're used to and one thing can throw you off and next thing you know, it's out to the races.
Yeah.
One little thing that out of your routine, in a bad way. And maybe when it starts, you don't realize it. You're like, oh, well, I couldn't go to a meeting tonight. And then another week goes by, and next thing you know, you're forgetting a meeting, and you're forgetting that you even you're forgetting you're an alcoholic. And then, 27 years, no one's going to know. No one ever, because you've got 27 years. Nobody's coming over this weekend. You can make a whole week. You can make a whole week out of it. No one's coming over. You don't have to work. You're retired, and 27 years, nobody's going to ever suspect you of going back to drinking.
Yeah, I'm sure that could have been what happened. Yeah. Very well could have been. And,
but he I think got it before it got out of control as much. I mean, I'm sure it got out of control. It had to have, that's the one thing that's crazy too about alcohol. And I'm assuming addiction in general is when you get back into that mode of using again, it just it could be 2 months, could be a year, could be 2 years. Like, I know that I would go hardcore in the paint, as they say. And that's scary to me. And I do know, and I do remind myself often, and I'm living in recovery. My life is based around recovery now. And I know I had to do that. I don't think everybody has to be that dedicated, but you have to be some dedicated. And I told him, I was like, that's why I started a business, and that's why I do a podcast, and that's why now I have way too much to lose. Mm-hmm. And I knew I had to work in the industry somehow, and there were no jobs for me. So I just kind of created one. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. And I did what I had to do, and I'm doing the things that I have to do to keep myself sober. So, so I can have a family, I can have a wife and kids, and I can't have that if I'm drinking.
Right. Yeah. And talking about the balance in general is I kind of had the opportunity, well, it was presented to me actually, to bring up a piece of, my recovery. I include, I have a big piece of it is my spirituality. And I don't attend an organized church. It's never really been something. It's not something that was introduced to me when I was a kid, and it's really not anything that I, pursued organized religion as an adult. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe in God. I very much so do believe in God. My higher power, who I call God, is way bigger and has way more involvement in my sobriety than I could ever imagine. Because without the help of who I call God, I wouldn't be here today. I know that for a fact. I believe God has a plan, for all of us, and I trust Him. And I say him, it could be a her, I don't know. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I get kind of antsy when I start talking about religion because it makes me feel like I'm going to offend somebody or something. But just personally for me. But anyhow, I went to a thing that TC Cares had put on at Harvest Bible Church, I believe is the name of it. And it was a drive for people to pick up different items that could be needed for families in need. And anyhow, I presented it to some of the people at my work, or that were involved in transitional housing, that if they needed to go, it would be a good opportunity to go. Anyhow, it was put on by a church, but you didn't have to be involved to go. It was really organized really well because of the COVID. They had you drive through kind of situation, masked volunteers and so on. But at the end of it, they had an optional thing. It had directions, and it had this big piece of paper that said prayer tent. And something in me was like, I think I want to go to that and just see what was going on, just to kind of, I don't know, rejuvenate my spiritual piece of me with another person who, believes that they're not the one in charge either. And so I did that, and it was really helpful. It felt really good. And I wasn't going in there for any kind of answers or, any sort of it wasn't a confession or anything like that. It was just, there's a lot of huge things that happen in my life every day. And sometimes I'd feel like, I pray on my own time and what have you, but sometimes it's just good to actually make a commitment, kind of like going to a meeting. You know what I mean? Like actually suiting up and being like, here's me, talking about how I'm feeling right now and what I'm thankful for, and saying it out loud. Because I can say what I'm thankful for and what I'm scared of and what I need help with all day long to God. That's between God and me, But also, it doesn't hurt when you have somebody who's safe, who will listen to those things, just to get the words out, just to have them come out of your mouth and actually hear them yourself, because it kind of solidifies. And it makes it real. Like, I really am grateful for these things because I have this, and I'm actually listing off with my words, things that I've been blessed with, and it makes it a lot more powerful to me. So I don't know, for anyone listening, give that a shot. Even it doesn't have to be a pastor or a priest, and it can be anyone you trust. Just talk about, your accomplishments, things that you've gotten, things you're working on, things you're scared of, things that you need help with. I mean, obviously the person you're not talking to is God, but you're talking about what you're going through, what your thoughts are. And I don't know, I found it really helpful. And I was in tears, It was really cleansing, I guess. And got a lot off my chest, and, with good ladies who were involved in, they were just volunteers or whatever. Kim was her name, and Joyce was the other lady's name that were there. Just random ladies in this prayer tent, and beautiful people that had, had time to listen to me. And anyway, it was recharging my spiritual batteries, if you will. Refilling my tank.
That's good that you did that, and it made you feel better. That's the key thing, and that's what you have to do. And I don't think you did that for anything like, oh, my sobriety is in danger, I need to. You just did something that fulfilled your soul.
Absolutely. And
that, to me, is a big part of recovery, just a big part of life, in general. And talking with good people with good intentions. Nobody there was out to hurt you. Nobody's trying to steal your money. I mean,
is that what we wait for, though?
What?
I mean, back in the day, isn't that what it was? We only prayed when we were like, oh, God, please get me out of this.
Yeah.
Or oh, God, I need some money. Oh, please, help me, my car start or whatever. And my life's not like that anymore. And times like that, minutes like that, so simple. I didn't plan on going there. I didn't plan on stopping by that, location. It just, worked out that way. And it was an awesome coincidence or not a coincidence, whatever you want to call it.
But then you had a rock star, Mother Teresa moment.
What do you mean?
When you were there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can play coy now.
Yeah, it was a weird setup. Well, I was telling these lovely ladies were inquiring about 217 because I was wearing the